She said, "Don't come to my promotion dinner, it's for management only." I smiled and replied, "Sure, I'll stay out of the way." What she didn't realize was that the board had already given me the director position she'd been chasing for years. When she stood up to thank her new boss and saw me walking toward the podium, the silence in that room said everything. I'm Ryan, 35, and I'd been with my girlfriend Melissa for 4 years. We met at the same company, a mid-sized pharmaceutical firm where we both started as project managers around the same time. The relationship developed naturally over late nights finishing reports and bonding over terrible break-room coffee. For the first 2 years, it was great. We understood each other's work stress, celebrated each other's wins, commiserated over the losses. Then, something shifted. About a year and a half ago, Melissa became obsessed with climbing the corporate ladder. Not just ambitious, obsessed. She started networking aggressively, volunteering for every high-visibility project, name-dropping in meetings. I was happy for her drive, but it came with a side effect. She started seeing me as competition instead of a partner. We'd always been equals at work. Same title, similar performance reviews, comparable salaries. But Melissa needed to be ahead. She started making subtle digs about my career choices, questioning why I wasn't pushing harder or thinking strategically about my future. When I got assigned to lead a major client acquisition project last year, she barely congratulated me. Instead, she spent dinner that night talking about how she would have approached it differently. The real problem started when our department announced they were creating a new Director of Strategic Initiatives position. It was the promotion both of us had been working toward, a significant jump in title, salary, and influence. The kind of role that only came around once every few years. Melissa went into overdrive. She was at the office before everyone else and left after everyone else. She scheduled coffee meetings with every VP she could corner. She even started dressing differently, more corporate, more polished, like she was already in the role. I wanted the position too, but I took a different approach. I focused on delivering results on my current projects, building genuine relationships rather than transactional ones, and being honest in my assessments rather than telling executives what they wanted to hear. My philosophy was that good work speaks for itself. Melissa disagreed. "You're too passive, Ryan," she told me one night while we were making dinner. "You can't just wait for people to notice you. You have to make them notice you." "I'm not waiting. I'm proving I can do the work. That's not enough anymore. Everyone can do the work. It's about perception, about making sure the right people see you as leadership material." "And you don't think they see me that way?" She hesitated just long enough for me to catch it. "I think you're talented. I just think you don't advocate for yourself enough." Translation: she didn't see me as competition. She'd already decided the job was hers. 3 weeks ago, I got a call from our CFO, Martin Hayes. He asked me to come to his office at the end of the day. When I arrived, Martin and our CEO, Patricia Chen, were both there. "Ryan, thanks for coming," Patricia said. "We wanted to talk to you about the director position." My heart started racing. "Of course." "We've been incredibly impressed with your work over the past year," Martin said. "The Arcadia acquisition you led brought in $20 million in new revenue. The way you rebuilt the relationship with Davidson Industries after that contract dispute was masterful. You have a reputation for being someone who solves problems without creating drama." "That last part is particularly important to us," Patricia added. "We need someone in this role who can lead with integrity, who the team actually respects rather than fears. We'd like to offer you the position." I was stunned. I don't know what to say. "Thank you. When would this be effective?" "We're announcing it Friday at the management dinner. We're keeping it quiet until then. We want the announcement to come from us in an official capacity. Can you keep this confidential? Even from Melissa?" That last part hit me. They knew we were dating. They were specifically asking me not to tell her. "Of course," I said. "I understand." "We know this might create some tension at home," Patricia said carefully. Melissa's also been in consideration, and she's a strong candidate, but the board unanimously voted for you. You've earned this, Ryan. I thanked them again, shook their hands, and left feeling this strange mix of elation and dread. I'd gotten my dream job, but I knew how Melissa would react. That night, Melissa came home excited. The promotion announcement is Friday, she said. They're doing it at the management dinner at the Fairmont. I can't wait. This is finally happening. That's great, I said, trying to keep my voice neutral. You're coming, right? I want you there when they announce it. This was my moment to tell her, to sit her down and explain that I'd gotten the position instead. But something stopped me. Maybe it was cowardice. Maybe it was curiosity about how she'd react. Maybe I was just tired of being treated like a supporting character in her success story. I think the dinner is management only, I said carefully. No, they said we could bring significant others. I already RSVP'd for both of us. Are you sure? I don't want to overstep. She looked annoyed. Ryan, you overthink everything. I want you there. It's important to me. 2 days before the dinner, Melissa changed her tune. We were getting ready for bed when she brought it up. Actually, I've been thinking about Friday, she said. Maybe you shouldn't come to the dinner. What? You just said you wanted me there. I know, but I've been talking to some people, and apparently it's pretty traditional to keep it to management only. Spouses are one thing, but since you're not management and we're not married, it might look weird. Melissa, you literally already RSVP'd for me. I can change it. I just think it's better this way, less complicated. I studied her face. You mean you don't want me there? That's not what I said. But it's what you mean. You want to have your big moment without me there. Don't be dramatic. It's for management only. You're not management. The way she said that last part, like it was something I should be ashamed of, made my decision for me. Sure, I said with a smile. I'll stay out of the way. She looked relieved. Thank you. I knew you'd understand. This is just really important to me, and I want to be able to focus on networking and celebrating without worrying about whether you're enjoying yourself. Makes perfect sense. She kissed my cheek and went to brush her teeth, completely missing the edge in my voice. Friday arrived. Melissa spent the entire day getting ready. Hair appointment, new dress she'd bought specifically for the occasion, rehearsing what she'd say when they announced her name. I watched her prepare like she was getting ready for the Oscars. I'll probably be home late, she said as she checked her makeup one final time. There's usually drinks after these things, and I want to make a good impression on the board. Of course. Good luck tonight. Thanks, babe. I'll text you when they make the announcement. I want you to be the first to know. She left around 5:30. I waited an hour, then got dressed myself. Suit and tie. The works. I arrived at the Fairmont at 7, right when the dinner was supposed to start. Patricia had arranged for me to wait in a side room until they were ready to make the announcement. I could hear the noise from the banquet hall, laughter, glasses clinking, the ambient sound of 50 people having pre-dinner drinks. You ready? Patricia asked, poking her head in around 7:45. As ready as I'll ever be. Melissa's been working the room all night, she said with a slight smile. Very confident. This should be interesting. Update 1. The banquet hall was exactly what you'd expect. Round tables with white tablecloths, centerpieces with flowers, a small stage at the front with a podium and microphone. I could see Melissa at a table near the front, laughing with some VPS. She looked radiant, completely in her element. Patricia walked to the podium and tapped the microphone. The room quieted down. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here. As you know, we've gathered tonight to celebrate our team and announce some exciting changes in our leadership structure. Over the past few months, the board has been evaluating candidates for our new Director of Strategic Initiatives position. This role is critical to our growth strategy, and we wanted someone who embodies our company values: integrity, innovation, and collaboration. I watched Melissa straighten in her chair, putting on her most professional smile. She'd positioned herself perfectly, close enough to the front that the walk to the stage would be short, but not so close that it looked presumptuous. The person we've selected has consistently demonstrated exceptional leadership, strategic thinking, and an ability to build consensus across departments. They've led some of our most successful initiatives over the past year, including the Arcadia acquisition and the Davidson contract renewal. Melissa's smile wavered slightly. Those were my projects, not hers. But she recovered quickly, probably assuming Patricia was just giving context before getting to the actual announcement. It is my great pleasure to announce that our new Director of Strategic Initiatives is Ryan Mitchell. The room erupted in applause. Melissa's face went from confident smile to confusion to shock in about 3 seconds. She looked around like she'd misheard, like this was some kind of joke. I stood up from my seat at the back and started walking toward the stage. Every step felt surreal. I could feel everyone's eyes on me, including Melissa's. Her mouth was literally hanging open. Patricia shook my hand as I reached the podium. Congratulations, Ryan. Would you like to say a few words? I took the microphone, looking out at the room, at my colleagues who'd become friends, at the executives who'd trusted me with this opportunity, and at Melissa, who was still sitting frozen in her chair. Thank you, Patricia. And thank you to the entire board for this incredible opportunity. I'm honored and humbled that you've placed your trust in me. I've always believed that leadership isn't about self-promotion. It's about service. It's about making the people around you better, about solving problems quietly and effectively, about putting the mission before your ego. That's the kind of director I intend to be. More applause. I handed the microphone back to Patricia and stepped off the stage. Several people came up to congratulate me, shaking my hand and patting my back. Through the crowd, I could see Melissa still sitting at her table, face pale, hands clenched in her lap. She didn't come congratulate me. She sat there through the rest of Patricia's remarks, through dinner, through dessert. I tried to catch her eye a few times, but she wouldn't look at me. Around 9:30, I saw her get up and leave through a side door. I followed her out. She was in the hallway, leaning against the wall, phone in hand. Melissa. She looked up at me, and the expression on her face was something I'd never seen before. Not quite anger, not quite hurt, something harder and colder. You knew, she said. You've known for weeks, and you didn't tell me. They asked me to keep it confidential. I'm your girlfriend, Ryan. You couldn't give me a heads up? They specifically said not to tell you. So you let me walk in there thinking I got the job? You let me sit through that whole announcement looking like an idiot. You assumed you got the job. I never said that. You told me not to come. You literally told me yesterday. She stopped, processing. Wait. When you said, sure, I'll stay out of the way, you already knew you had the position. You told me not to come because I wasn't management. Those were your words. Because I thought it would be awkward for you to be there when I got promoted. I was trying to be considerate. Were you? Or were you trying to have your moment without me there because you were embarrassed that your boyfriend was still a project manager while you became a director? She opened her mouth, closed it. That's what I thought, I said. This is unbelievable. You deliberately humiliated me in front of the entire management team. I didn't humiliate you. I accepted a position I earned. You humiliated yourself by assuming it was yours. Everyone in that room knew I wanted this job. Everyone knew I'd been working toward it. And you just swooped in and took it. I didn't swoop in. I did my job day after day without making a production out of it. That's what they rewarded. She shook her head, tears starting to form. I can't believe you did this to me. Melissa, I didn't do this to you. This isn't about you at all. This is about me getting recognition for my work. We can't work together anymore. Not with you as a director and me still as a manager. Everyone will think I'm only still here because we're dating. So what are you saying? I'm saying I'm putting in my notice on Monday. I'll find something else. You're quitting because I got promoted? I'm quitting because you betrayed me. She pushed past me and walked back toward the banquet hall, probably to get her things. I stood there in the empty hallway, replaying the conversation, trying to figure out if I'd been cruel or just honest. Update 2. Melissa didn't come home that night. She texted me around 11 saying she was staying with her friend Jessica and needed space to think. I replied with a simple, okay, and went to bed in our empty apartment. Saturday morning, she came by to pack some clothes. I was making coffee when she walked in with her key. I'm just grabbing some things, she said without looking at me. We should talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. Melissa, you're throwing away 4 years over a job promotion. She finally looked at me, and her eyes were red from crying. This isn't about the promotion, Ryan. This is about trust. You kept something huge from me. You watched me prepare for that dinner, watched me get excited, and you didn't say anything. Because I was asked not to. Because it wasn't my information to share. I'm your partner. I should have come first. Even when it meant violating a direct request from the CEO, even when it meant potentially jeopardizing my new position. Yes! That's what partners do. They look out for each other. And what were you doing when you told me not to come to the dinner? When you said I wasn't management like it was something to be ashamed of? Were you looking out for me then? She grabbed a bag from the closet and started throwing clothes into it. I was trying to spare you from exactly what happened. From sitting there watching someone else get what you wanted. But it didn't happen to me. It happened to you. And you didn't want to spare me. You wanted to spare yourself from having to deal with my emotions if you got the job and I didn't. That's not true, isn't it? Be honest, Melissa. If you'd gotten the director position, would you have worried about how it made me feel? Or would you have been too busy celebrating? She zipped up the bag violently. I would have been sensitive to your feelings. Like you have been for the past year? When you constantly questioned my choices? When you made it clear you thought I wasn't ambitious enough? I was trying to help you. You were trying to stay ahead of me. Because the second we weren't equals, the second there was a chance I might surpass you, I became a threat instead of a partner. She stood there with her bag, and I could see her struggling with whether to argue or leave. She chose leaving. I'll come get the rest of my stuff next week, she said. We can figure out the apartment then. Melissa, I can't do this right now, Ryan. I just can't. She left. The apartment felt impossibly quiet after she was gone. Sunday, I spent mostly replaying everything in my mind. Had I been wrong to keep the promotion secret? Maybe. But I'd been following direct orders from the CEO, and if I'm being brutally honest, part of me had wanted to see how she'd react. I'd wanted to know if she'd celebrate for me the way I would have celebrated for her. The answer was clear. She wouldn't have. Update 3. Monday morning at work was predictably awkward. Word had spread over the weekend, and people either congratulated me or gave me sympathetic looks depending on whether they'd heard about my relationship drama. Melissa didn't show up to work. She'd called in sick, according to her assistant. Patricia called me into her office around 10. How are you holding up? She asked. I've been better. I heard Melissa's considering leaving. That's unfortunate. She's talented, even if she wasn't the right fit for this particular role. She feels humiliated. Does she? Or does she feel entitled to something she didn't earn? I didn't have a good answer to that. Ryan, I'm going to tell you something I probably shouldn't. When we were making this decision, Melissa was very vocal about her candidacy. She scheduled multiple meetings with board members specifically to campaign for the position. That's not necessarily wrong, but in those meetings, she repeatedly implied that you weren't interested in the role, that you'd told her you were happy where you were. My stomach dropped. I never said that. We figured as much. That's part of why we chose you. We need leaders who lift others up, not tear them down to make themselves look better. I left her office feeling simultaneously validated and betrayed. Melissa hadn't just been competing with me. She'd been actively trying to sabotage my chances. She finally showed up to work on Wednesday. We crossed paths in the hallway outside her office. She looked exhausted. "Hey," I said. "Hey. Have you made a decision about everything?" "I'm giving my 2 weeks' notice tomorrow. I have an offer from a competitor. Smaller company, but they're offering me a senior manager position with a path to director in 18 months. That's good. I'm happy for you." She laughed bitterly. "Are you, though?" "I am. I never wanted you to fail, Melissa. I just wanted to succeed, too." "Well, you got what you wanted. Congratulations, Director Mitchell." The way she said it, dripping with resentment, made it clear we were done. Not just the relationship, whatever friendship or affection or history we'd had, all of it. Finished. "For what it's worth," I said, "I'm sorry it ended this way." "No, you're not. You proved your point. You won." She walked away before I could respond. Final update. It's been 2 months now. Melissa left the company as promised, taking her new position at a competitor. We haven't spoken since that conversation in the hallway. She sent movers for her stuff while I was at work one Saturday. I came home to an apartment that felt half empty, with a note on the counter that just said, "Kept the coffee maker. You can have everything else." The director role has been challenging but rewarding. I've built a good team, implemented some new initiatives that are showing early success, and generally felt like I'm finally doing the work I was meant to do. I ran into Jessica, Melissa's friend, at a coffee shop 3 weeks ago. She told me Melissa's doing well at her new company, that she's dating someone she met at a networking event, that she's moved on completely. "Are you okay?" Jessica asked. "With how everything happened?" "I think so. It sucks that it ended that way, but I can't pretend I didn't see the signs. She wanted a cheerleader, not a partner. The second I wasn't supporting her narrative, I became the enemy." Jessica nodded thoughtfully. "For what it's worth, I think you did the right thing." She was so obsessed with that promotion that she couldn't see anything else. It wasn't healthy. My parents asked me last week if I had any regrets about how I handled the situation. "Maybe I should have told her earlier," I admitted, "given her a heads up before the dinner." But honestly, I don't think it would have changed anything. She still would have felt betrayed. She still would have made it about her. "Some people can't celebrate others' success when they feel like it diminishes their own," my dad said. "That's their problem, not yours. I've been on a couple dates since the breakup. Nothing serious, just testing the waters. It's strange being single again at 35, but it's also kind of freeing. I don't have to worry about competition or comparison. I can just be myself." Last week, I got an email from Melissa. Just a few lines. "Ryan, I've been doing a lot of thinking and therapy. I realize I didn't handle things well. I let my ambition consume me, and I treated you like an obstacle instead of a partner. You deserved better. I hope you're doing well in your new role. You earned it. M." I appreciated the apology. I even started to write a response, but ultimately I deleted the draft. Some chapters are meant to stay closed. The promotion dinner feels like a lifetime ago now, but I still remember that moment at the podium, looking out at the room and realizing I'd finally gotten recognition for doing things the right way. Not through politics or self-promotion or tearing others down, but through consistent, honest work. And yeah, there was a small part of me that enjoyed watching Melissa realize she'd underestimated me. That enjoyed proving I was more than the too passive boyfriend she'd been slowly convincing herself I was. Maybe that makes me petty, but it also makes me human. Edit. A lot of people are asking if I think she deliberately sabotaged my chances with the board. I honestly don't know. Patricia implied it, but Melissa might have genuinely believed I wasn't interested. We'll never know for sure, and at this point, it doesn't matter. Edit 2. To the people saying I should have told her about the promotion despite being asked not to, I respectfully disagree. Professional obligations exist for a reason. If I'd violated the CEO's trust before even starting the role, what message would that send about my judgment? Edit 3. Yes, the coffee maker was a Breville. Yes, I'm still annoyed she took it. I bought a better one. Oughta.